Yo, what's good, everybody? Today is November the 18th, 2025. Most gracious and heavenly Father, we ask you, God, that you bless your children as well as your creations. In Jesus' name we pray, amen. What's good, everyone? Welcome to another edition of the Marvin Bennett Jr. Show. Um, Happy Born Day to everybody that celebrated over the weekend, over this last week. My man, Big Five. Certainly my youngest son Elisha celebrated his birthday on Sunday. And everybody else that celebrated. I seen a couple of anniversaries as well. Congratulations to you guys. Even work anniversaries and milestones. So congratulations to everybody that celebrated over this weekend. My condolences to everyone who lost someone. Um, yeah, it's been a lot going on, as you guys been seeing from my post since Sunday. Heavily the day before I did the show. I'm a little uneased at what I've seen transpire in the city of Charlotte um, over the course of this weekend. And the sad thing is, it's not just Charlotte; it's in other cities in North Carolina. I heard that they were supposed to be, or I seen that they were supposed to be touching down in Raleigh today as well. And again, this is not just um, something that's isolated to Charlotte, North Carolina. But before we get into the heavy stuff, I do want to say um, shout out to my family. They know who they are. I had a wonderful time before everything transpired. I had a wonderful time at the concert, Brandy and Monica, um, on Thursday evening, and spent an amazing evening with them. Some amazing people. It was a pretty good concert. Me, I'm a fan of live music, so I was kind of disappointed in not having a live band. But overall, it was a pretty good experience. Going down memory lane with their hits or whatever. Um, so we made a weekend of it. And Thursday night after the concert was over, it was all good. We had a good time. We got something to eat. Friday, we spent time out. And I was noticing something as me and my brother was riding in the car. We seen a lot of activity going on, and he's like, "Yo, man, what's going on?" I said, "Man, it's just another day in Charlotte." I'm thinking this is like normal. Then Saturday comes along, same thing, all kind of marked cars, unmarked cars. It was just something straight out of a movie. I don't know if you guys seen the movie Siege. I believe that was Siege with Bruce Willis years ago. It was literally looking like that in the city of Charlotte. Like people pulled over randomly. Um, I left Sunday morning and it was still continuing. I believe they said the last thing I seen report I seen said that they had arrested over like 130 people in 2 days, 2 3 days. I'm quite sure the numbers went up, and that's just the ones that they actually reported. Um, hey, what's good, Sam? Um, yeah, so it was just crazy, and my thing is like
What's
all
going
for
on?
what? And like I said, I'm gonna let Sam chime in because Sam knows a little bit more about the particulars or strategies. But it just has so many. I had so many questions. Watching the different videos and whatnot, and reading different articles of the coverage that I actually saw, because it was like one, and maybe you can help me with this, Sam. Like my thing is too, like I understand that it's coming from Trump camp or supposedly it's coming from Trump to go into these different cities and do what they doing. Because I don't want to just make it seem like it was Charlotte. Like you said, we've seen the same thing in Chicago. We've seen the same thing in New York. Um, Various different places. They saying that New Orleans is going to be next. I seen something about New Orleans coming up. Um, my thing is, how is this so unorganized? Um, as far as coordinating with the local governments, I seen what Governor Stein said. He didn't know anything about it. Nobody contacted him. So it's like, how do they have the authority to just run down in these cities and do whatever they want to do? That's for you, Sam.
You hear me?
I can hear you now, yeah, but you froze. Your screen, your camera is froze. And I know some people out there, and you guys definitely get in the comments because, like I said, I want to hear everybody's thoughts on this and their take. Um, no judgment zone here, but I'm just not understanding. I'm not just not understanding um, the disorganization. All right, there you go, Sam. You look like you're good now.
You hear me okay?
Yeah, now I hear you.
Okay. I don't know what happened. Um I I know you said something about what Governor Stein said before we went out.
Hmm.
But what a lot of people don't understand is like a lot of governors are working with the feds.
Repeat
And
that, Sam. You
when a
chopping up.
government put when a government okay. How about now? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I
One,
can hear
two.
you now. Yeah.
Okay. So basically, Governor Stein has said that he's ordered local law enforcement, the sheriff's office in all 100 counties. He's told them not to work with ICE or not to work with the feds. That was what he came down. So basically, he's bypassing his Title 32 authority, which the governor can request federal assistance, kind of like what New Mexico did, kind of like what Tennessee did. And so Trump is sending ICE in under Title 10. And the thing is a lot of these, like Chicago, for example, I got a lot of family in Chicago, a whole lot. And when we heard about what was going down in on the 7500 block on the south side, literally that building is a condemned building. And over the last 2 weeks, 7 brothers got murdered in that building. That building was basically the people living in that building were gang members from El Salvador. So when they went in there, because they got clues from the local community that wanted them gone because they killing people. So they made 37 arrests. And all
Hold up
30
before you keep going. That's how I understand. I thought you said that it was condemned. It was the building condemned or not?
condemned means that they can't take there's not supposed to be anybody in there.
Yeah,
But we all know there's a reason why when we go to Jersey, we go to Baltimore, we go to all these places, when the building is empty, people still go in there and live.
gotcha. Okay.
It's not,
Yeah,
it's one of those things that condemned just means that where they said a whole lot of black families were living there, all those, that was all lies. The landlord wasn't even taking rent no more because the building, most of the apartments had no doors on them. So the thing is like when if you look at all of the video from that night, they had body cam, they had all that stuff. You didn't see not one black person get arrested. You didn't see no black kids get zip tied. All you saw were those 37 gang members that was arrested. And the whole south side of Chicago was happy that that happened. And even the YNs on the south side is hating it because the Trinidad is armed more than they are. So that's one of those things that I tell people. ICE basically said this: everybody they going after has a deportation order. That wasn't just issued; it's been issued years ago. Just like the guy from Maryland, the Maryland man they wanted to say that said, he's a citizen. He wasn't. He literally had 4 deportation orders from trafficking, for DUIs, for domestic violence. And this was during the Biden administration. So we can't say Trump, Trump, Trump. So when someone's issued a deportation order, they're ordered to report to Border Patrol, report to ICE, so they can be deported. Now, when you see all these people the ICE agents going up in the courthouse, if you know anybody that has a court date, they literally have, you can go on to the website, like here in Wake County, you can go to a Wake County calendar and you can pull up Superior Court or Civil Court, Superior Court. And you can actually pull up all the names of whoever has a court date scheduled. So what happens when we see the ICE people, when we see them like waiting outside the courtroom, basically the person that went to court, it was for an immigration hearing and it got denied. So they're sitting there waiting. They have people in offices just sitting there going through all these court calendars all over the country to see when these people are going to court. So that's why they're able to know when to be at the courthouse, what courtroom. So when these people come out that already have deportation orders, they go ahead and take them out. As far as like detaining them and deporting them. So the thing is like, it's one thing to grab somebody off the street and deportate them. That's what Obama did. He deportated 2.7 million people non-judiciously, meaning there was no deportation order.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, they called him the deporter in chief. He deported more people than anybody in history. But nobody had that energy for that. So what I tell people, if you want everything to be all cool and copacetic, what you need to do is you talk to your governor, your mayor, and tell them, look, when this guy gets charged with rape and he gets locked up and he has a deportation order, call ICE. That's what ICE wants to do. It's safer for them to go to the jailhouse to pick up people with deportation orders than to go into residence and get those people. And that's a situation that I think people aren't really understanding. It's like they're doing what they're doing because the sheriffs aren't working with them. The mayors aren't working with them. So that's the thing we need to, it's like, just to me, I'm going to be real with you, it's just gaslighting. I'm like, all these black folks in the streets upset about what's happening to some Hispanic folks that care less about you. Like when black folks was going through stuff, Hispanic folks want nowhere to be seen. Is that true or false?
Probably more, and true, probably in most cases. But for me, and I hear everything that you're saying. You bring some valid points. I'm saying what I witnessed this weekend was absolutely absurd. And I don't care whether it's under Trump. I don't care whether it's under Obama. I don't care whether it's under Biden. Wrong is wrong. For you to be snatching people up out of their cars in front of their children. It was one video that I seen and it showed he did all kind of interviews and everything in Charlotte. This dude literally got pulled over by ICE, showed him his identification and his paperwork. Less than 10 minutes later, he was getting arrested again. Boop, they smashed his window, yanked him out of his car, had him on the ground, all bloody and everything else. And the dude is a white guy that's filming it, saying, like, yo, what are y'all doing? Y'all just got he just showed his paperwork a few minutes ago. And here y'all are again. So it's almost like a double arrest. So I hear what you're saying, but every one of those people wasn't justified. All those people don't have deportation issues. They were even doing little children. The one dude in Pineville, North Carolina, he lives here. The people that they was running down on, people was out there putting up Christmas lights at one of the people's houses in Charlotte. And the homeowner, which was white also, came out like, no, this person is legally here. He's been cutting my yard for, I don't know. He showed him his paperwork. They still were trying to give him a hard time. So I hear what you're saying, but
here's what I was like. Let's rewind back. You said to what you saw.
Mm-hmm.
So when you say what you saw, this is what I try to get to the bottom of stuff. When you say what you personally saw, you saying you were physically there.
Yes.
And
in the city of Charlotte this weekend.
Okay, so when you was physically there, when this guy was getting pulled out, window smashed out, and a white guy that happened to be there said that they had just arrested him or detained him a few minutes prior. You witnessed that too?
I didn't witness that part. I just seen that part on the interview later after the footage.
This is what I want to say. All right. You got people that's following these ICE folks, and I saw literally where I saw the whole chase. And this was in Tennessee. I saw the whole chase. This guy hops out. It's a white landscaping van, and the van comes. ICE is pulling up on their vans, and they're basically saying, "Hey, you stop the vehicle. We need to see you. You need to identify yourself." Remember, when they have deportation orders, guess what? ICE has their photos. They know exactly who they are. So when they have a deportation order, they know. So if the person says, "Oh no, I'm here legally, I'm a citizen," they're literally have the papers with a photo of that person, that man or that woman. They literally have that. So when this guy escapes through the van, he drives through the median, he goes down the street, and you have people that was following the vehicle, and they're recording, and they're saying he's a citizen. Them people don't know him for Adam. They just know that he is running from ICE. They're saying whatever, just like when we was back on the block and we needed to call the police when somebody got shot. My auntie would say, tell him you white, because they think that's going to get a faster reaction for the police to respond. And then when it takes them 15 minutes to respond, and then the news would come up, and they would ask us what was the situation. Oh, they took forever. It took them like 45 minutes. Are you telling me people don't exaggerate?
I'm telling you, people do exaggerate, but I'm telling you there's an opposite end side of the coin too from what your position is. So you mean to tell me that all these arrests that they made, 130 in 2 days, they were all justified, and all these ICE agents had all these people pictures and where to find them, whether they was in a grocery store, Home Depot, now that they have physical address, something ain't right there, bruh. Something is not right there. All those arrests that they made this weekend right there in Charlotte was not justifiable. Probably many of them, possibly. I don't know. But I know for a fact 100% of them.
We don't know. We don't. How many people total? You told, like I heard it was like 81 in one day. But
yeah, the first day. Well, no, Saturday. Because they started Friday. Saturday was another day.
How do you know 200 people weren't detained and 81 is what they kept?
But even to your point earlier, and I meant to double back to that, and that's fine for you to have that position. That's not my position, though. I don't care where the Hispanics was at when we were going through whatever we were going through with. I don't want to see that happen to nobody. White, black, Hispanic, Asian, indifferent. Wrong is wrong, period. Like one dude, they literally beat him up in front of his child. The dude is filming. The son is filming it. Like, please let my dad go. He's not resisting. They weren't trying to hear none of that. Come to find out, he's a citizen. He wasn't here illegally. You know what I mean?
No,
Said,
who said he was a citizen?
The news reporter,
the guy that ran,
that showed us the story. Come
okay,
to find out, he was an actual citizen. He wasn't here illegally.
He was. Let me watch Good Morning, the episode of Good Morning America yesterday with Michael Strahan. I know you know him, Giants, right?
Mm-hmm.
He did a story on the lady, and this was the story that ICE goes into a daycare to snatch a woman and arrest her in front of the kids. And she was a teacher at that daycare it was a K through 4. It was a preschool. That's what he reported. That's what the news initially said. But then after they looked through a Freedom of Information Act request, they found out they did a stop with her down the street. She drove, and that was the first open parking lot, drove in there and ran into the daycare.
Mm-hmm.
So remember, Denzel said it best. The news, that's why you got to check everything. The news, they don't care about if they right or wrong. They care about just getting it out first. Everybody worry about the clickbait.
I totally agree with that.
But they don't recant. So this female that they detained and ended up like she's being deported now. I think they shipped her to Louisiana for deportation. It went from her being a teacher at the school, a U.S. citizen, never broke the law or anything. When they found out she had 2 deportation orders, she'd been caught for selling drugs, she had a DUI, domestic violence, she wasn't a citizen, and she wasn't a teacher. So when DHS has put out the thing, hey, if we catch you, you ain't coming back to the US. But if you use our CBD app, we will fly you back to where you want, put you $1,000 in your pocket to hire an attorney to start the process of you coming into the US legally. What's wrong with that? If people want to push their luck and they want to do that, that's on them. But the thing is like if these local mayors, not all of them, because Tennessee a red state, but look what happened to Memphis. Memphis has basically like become you got black folks now finally, their kids finally able to ride their bikes in the street. They finally able to go out at night.
Where, Memphis?
In Memphis.
Memphis is still one of the most dangerous cities in this country.
We say what it is, but when have you looked at the numbers from 3 months ago to last week? When they've taken 1,500 guns off the street, they made 1,100 arrests.
Okay, so let me ask you this: where's that information coming from?
It's coming from the Memphis police chief. When he issues his weekly report, he's putting out and taking photos of the guns that they seize, the drugs that they seize, the fentanyl, everything that they seize. He's giving a number to how many illegals that got captured that's being deported. They give all that information. They do that for Charlotte.
That's my point from what you were saying earlier. How can you tell that this is credible information based off of what they give you versus what's non-credible because you haven't seen that?
You talking about from the chief of police? Okay, that's in charge of keeping those numbers.
They don't lie either.
I mean, at the end of the day, I see pastors lie every day.
Okay, so that's my point. There's no way to verify that it's all factual or credible information.
Then why do we talk on podcasts and stuff if anything by a human could be a lie? What is the purpose of us even having dialogue?
because it still need to be talked about. But my point is, there's no way to find out concrete if all these things are illegal. Hold on, I want to get these Jew comments before they disappear. Drew said if they're here, if they are legal in the U.S., I'm not against deporting them. The problem I got is how they go about it. Absolutely. He said, Sam, if they're breaking the law, then deport them. That's part of the law, but it's how they doing it. He also said he wasn't no citizen because he would have never drove off. I think that's the guy that I was talking about. They ain't never give me that chance, Sam, but I did break the law and I was there legally. Good point, Drew. Because you talking about personal experience, not what you saying on the news, what you actually went through with, and why you're where you are now. And to your point, I disagree. You said if he wasn't no citizen because he would have never drove off. I'm born and raised in America. There's been times that I done drove off for the police. Like so, and that's my whole thing too. Like, a lot of it, and stop with the. It gets, I guess. So we talking about information, and there's no way to verify it or like that. There, I don't believe that we shouldn't not have conversations about it. But I've been seeing a lot of stuff where people, that just don't necessarily care, or because it's not black people, saying like, well, this is what y'all voted for, this is who y'all voted for, so this is what you get in return. Stop it. How do you know who voted for who? You don't know that these people voted for Trump. You don't know that these people voted for Harris. So stop with that lame argument because you disagree with Harris not being in office. You know what I mean? You don't know who nobody voted for. So we got to stop that right there. My other part of it, especially like seeing what I've seen this weekend in Charlotte, here in North Carolina, and I heard that they're supposed to be in Raleigh today. I'm not sure if anything transpired or whatever.
Yeah, they did.
But my thing is too, okay, if this is about illegals, why wasn't none of these Germans that's here legally being pulled out of their homes in vehicles? Why was none of these Europeans, you know what I mean, that's here illegally being pulled out of their homes and out of their vehicles and away from their children?
How do you know?
Because to your point, yeah, we don't know unless we see it. But I know based off of what I've seen, and I do agree with you with the whole gaslighting thing. It's just like when you go back to the George Floyd or anything else in the situation where you got a cop killing a black person. Of course, they do that type stuff to get us here where I'm at now, all riled up, so we get all emotional about it. But just because they don't show it, don't mean that no white officers aren't killing any white kids. It's just not gonna get the reaction that it's gonna get if they show us this. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I definitely agree with that aspect of it. But I'm just saying, out of all these people that I'm seeing, all of them just so happen to be Latino. Why is it that I know they ain't the only ones that's here illegally? Drew said it himself. He was here legally. But unfortunately, things happen. You know what I mean? But my point is, it just I don't like unfair treatment for anybody. I don't care whether they have my back or not. I'm a stand-up dude. Like, my principles is I don't want to see nobody getting violated wrongfully. No, he said no. You and Sam talking about two different persons. Sam talking about the white van, and you talking about the red pickup. Okay, yeah. You're talking about the incident in Tennessee. Okay, yeah. But that's my whole thing. Like, to me, I can't stress it enough. I just think that, to me, it's unjustifiable. And then here's another aspect of it. We're not talking about local police. And I also made sure I showed the video of that today as well, of where this dude, he got arrested for impersonating a police officer. Like, these ICE agents, especially the ones that I seen this weekend, they got on the tan, they got on fatigues, they got on masks, they got on all this here. Who is to say that somebody ain't impersonating one of these jokers? You know what I mean? Like, if you coming to get me, it's just so much room for error, bruh. That's the part that bothers me the most, is because I don't know who you are. And like I said earlier this month, when all this stuff, earlier this year when it all first started happening. I'm not saying that it's one and the same, but I'm like, just like the KKK. If you ain't doing nothing wrong, if you ain't doing nothing foul, Why you gotta hide your face? Why you gotta, you know what I'm saying? What's the purpose of that? If you're here legally from president orders to get rid of illegal people, why are you hiding your identity? It's not an undercover operation.
Okay, you always close every time you close out a podcast. You especially shout out two people. Who are
My
those two
son,
people?
my sons.
Okay. Now, the point I want to make with that is if let's say you preach at a church, right? On a Sunday morning, and you say something that somebody don't like in that congregation, right? Then they basically got your photo, they got your name, and they go online, they track everything down about you, your sons, where y'all work, where they work, all those things, and they start going after them. And you were the one who preached that message, not neither one of your boys.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel that's okay for them to go after your boys like that?
Absolutely not.
But that's what's happening to them. So when I was working with the marshals and stuff, when I was in the military, we were covered. That's why when you look at a lot of military documentaries and stuff now, you'll see some of the soldiers, their face may be grayed out and some aren't. The ones that aren't are either they've been killed already in action, but the ones that are grayed out, they're still active. They're still active soldiers.
Mm-hmm.
So you know why they're graying out their faces? Because they know cartels, they know Islamist extremists will go after their family. You never heard of family members being kidnapped or killed because of what the father or the mother did?
Yeah. And that's part, unfortunately, that's a part of life.
That's the reason. What
It
I'm
doesn't make it
telling you,
right.
that's
Yeah.
the reason why they wearing masks. When they first started doing this, they weren't wearing masks. But then you go to California, the mayor of LA funded $14 million, funded a website for all their photos to be uploaded so people could track them down. So that's my thing right there. Is like that's why they started wearing masks.
And it could be where they didn't show it or they didn't report it. I have no factual evidence of this. But one thing I will notice that I have seen in all those videos this weekend, them same papers that you're talking about that they get with the deportation, as well as they picture. Not in one video that I seen, and it could have been in person too, gaslighting. Not saying that it is, not saying it's not. I didn't see not one person showing them that they had in handcuffs. Here is the paperwork that I have permission to come get you. These are your deportation papers. They were just snatching people up. They ain't showing them no evidence of why they snatching them up. Or, you see what I'm saying? That needs to be documented as well.
My old barber, I was with him for a few years. He posted on Instagram this morning. ICE came through the barbershop. It's all Dominicans. You know, it's a Dominican barbershop. And they came through. They were looking for somebody that had already gone back to DR, but they didn't have any records showing that he had gotten to DR. So what they did with Morano was they basically asked everybody for their ID that was there. He said everybody showed their ID that was gone. He had his camera. He got it on Instagram Live. Now, as they was walking out, he was leaving out because he had just finished the cut and he was in his car driving. And then he saw ICE start chasing after this cat or around the corner of the building. And this is like Mini City off Capitol Boulevard. And he was like, oh, you can hear him in the video because they caught the guy. So my thing is this. I tell my son, when you get your driver license renewed, you as soon as you receive that license, you order a duplicate. You know why I tell him to order a duplicate? So he can put it right there, that duplicate right there in his armrest. so he don't have to reach in his pocket or reach in the glove box to pull out his license. If you look in all of our cars, I got 3 duplicate licenses. And guess where they at? They right there in the armrest. So when that officer, and yeah, we shouldn't have to do that, but it is what it is. I don't want my son, or I don't want to get shot with them thinking that I'm trying to draw a firearm or something like that. So I tell my son, when you see them blue lights behind you, before they even get to your car, you pull out your dang on duplicate so you able to present it to them.
I
So
hear you. I don't. It's not that I don't disagree with you. I look at it through a different lens. Like you said, it is what it is. Hold up, Drew said it's logic though. I have a greater chance of catching Spanish people than people from Germany. Absolutely, you would think. And we could call it racism or whatever, but we could all admit, because I never understood why back in the day you would hear white people say stuff like, "Well, they all look alike," talking about us. I'm like, we got all different. We got light skin, we got brown, we got cocoa. What you mean we all look alike? But I can honestly say, when you talking about Asian, I can't tell an Asian, a Japanese from a Chinese. I can't tell when you talking about Hispanic. I can't tell a Mexican from a Puerto Rican versus a Ecuadorian versus a Venezuelan. They all look like to us. You know
well,
what I mean?
you know, a lot of people don't understand, like Russia, China, Mongolia, those are all Asian countries. Russia is an Asian country. Pakistan are Asians. Indians from India, all that entire region is Asia. And that's what a lot of people don't realize. So when I always tell people, when they say, "Oh, there was some Asian people," because this year there's been over 2,000 people that are Asians that have been deported because they had deportation order. Do you know what the number one reason why Asians are deported? Or why they receive a deportation order? Because they came here for school on a student visa and they finished college, and instead of doing the paperwork, they let it expire. And guess what? They receive a deportation order and they got to go. But they figure, I'm here, I've been here long enough. Guess what? I ain't gonna worry about it. If I gotta stand in the dang on long DMV line to renew my license every 4 to 8 years, if I got to go in there to renew my dang on tags and registration so I can stay legit, if you in here with a visa, whether HB1, HB2, any status, you're a refugee or you have a work permit, authorization to work, guess what? You need to take the time to renew that. If I got to stay legal, if Marvin Bennett Jr. got to stay legal, people, and we citizens, people that ain't citizens need to be held to the same standard.
Absolutely. But the same side of that coin is true, and I'm guilty of it as well. Because I don't feel like spending those 8 hours up in DMV. There have been times that I'm driving dirty because I'm not doing the due diligence. I'm not standing.
But
I'm just
that's your
saying that.
risk. That's the risk you taking.
Yeah, exactly. So they're taking the risk too. But my point is, I hear what you're saying. I'm not just saying that you're wrong. What I'm saying is that doesn't apply to everybody because, like you just said, you gonna do that. Some of these people have done that and they still have been unjustly persecuted or whatever, or arrested, snatched up or whatever the case may be. That is wrong to me. Period. Like you said, it is what it is. You shouldn't have to teach your son that to keep all the duplicates, but that is what it is. When I hear statements like that, just based off of me, my worldview is like that reminds me of like the 40s in the 50s, back with like Emmett Till situations, or I've heard stories from people that lived back then. I didn't encounter it. This ain't no movie. I'm talking about family members that lived during those times where a white woman was walking on the sidewalk. You had to get off the sidewalk and just put your head down. They man said if they did that, it what it is. I would have been with dead black boy that would have never seen 20 years old because I don't subscribe to that. This is the way that I have to live. This is just what it is. Like, if we all had that, then, like to see your point earlier when we were talking about the conversation, if we all had that mentality, nothing would ever get changed. We would still be in the fields or whatever the case may be. Revolution doesn't always have to be violent, but people got to stand up for themselves. And my thing is, how can we? I'm not saying, because again, if you're not here illegally, I have no issue with that. If you're here legally, I have no issue with that. All I'm saying is, how can this be done in a more organized way?
You know how it can be done? If the governor of North Carolina issues his memorandum saying when you arrest somebody, all law enforcement have access to the deportation, the ICE database. They know everybody. They can pull in, just like if you get pulled over in Lee County versus Guilford County, no matter where they're at, they can pull up your driving record. They can pull up your driving history. They can even access the AOC, that's the court system, right there from their car. Anytime that they arrest somebody and that person and they run that name, just like people get arrested now, they automatically swab DNA out the mouth. They automatically fingerprint them. They automatically do a profile picture. Boom, boom, boom. They automatically do that. So all he has to do, I'm talking about Stein over North Carolina or any other governor. When you come across somebody and there's a deportation order because it's gonna flag, call ICE. Rather than let them go bail free, let them go back on the street. At a minimum, hold them for 72 hours. If they did that, guess what? ICE wouldn't be bum rushing people. Because at the very beginning, when all this stuff kicked off, Tom Homan, which is also Obama's guy, Tom Homan said, if local law enforcement, y'all mayors, y'all governors don't want to help us, what we're going to end up having to do is start going after these people out on the street. And we're only going for one person. But if one person happens to be around 5 or 6 people, guess what? They're all going to get checked. So the thing is like, local law enforcement is not communicating because they're being told to by their mayors and their governors. But look at DC, for example. DC, everybody was like, oh, it's good because crime has gone down. But guess what the city council in DC did? They voted. The mayor, she was innocent. She was against it. The city council voted that all young brothers or young sisters that was under the age of 25, no bail, no felonies. So that's when you started really hearing people talk about these YNs, because they're like, shoot, I'm gonna be out later today and we're gonna keep doing the same because there's no repercussions. So what the city council ended up doing is they changed arm. It used to be a felony to rob somebody with a gun or carjack them with a gun. They knocked that down to a misdemeanor. So guess what happened with the crime rates? Felonies nosedive, 25%. All these numbers nosedive because they reclassified them. And then the DC Metro, they was holding a contest. So whoever had the reduced amount of crime, they got bonuses. And guess what? A sister who got blackballed because she arrested a dude that sliced his wife, sliced like the Joker, sliced her mouth open. He was let go. And when she went to do the report on domestic violence, felony assault, attempted murder, the police chief had overwrote her report saying that it was this person to the hospital. And guess what? She sued DC and she won. So that's the thing, is like, when we hearing about crime going down, like felony assault in Charlotte has increased 200%. But when we say 200%, look, if you got one person, now two other people get added, okay, that could be 200%. But when you have a city as large as Mecklenburg County, which is the second largest county in North Carolina, Wake County is the first. Those numbers that they're giving are based off their crime database, their statistics.
And
But
like
when
you
I
said
hear
earlier, though, that a lot of that can be bogus. It's
it,
almost
it, it could, that's
even
why,
though it was a show, we seen it on the wire. How you gonna legalize drugs down in Amsterdam? But he did it to cook his books. You know what I'm
and
saying?
what do you see me do on the podcast, on the Winners podcast?
Stat.
Every time I say something, I cite a source
Mm.
for people to not just take my word, just to look it up for yourself. Make your own synapses about it. So that's what I would like. Like Thursday night, we're going to be talking about this a little bit. We're going to be talking about the Epstein files and all that. And I'm going to show the actual website that literally shows all the people that Jeffrey Epstein donated money to. And that's why the files wasn't opened up ever.
Now let me ask you this: while you there with the sourcing, and as long as you've been doing how you do, have you ever 6 months, a year later, come to find out that that source was untrue?
I'm be honest, not many of them.
But it's not 100. It's not 100%
I'm
accurate.
trying to. It's so hard, like because this is the thing that I do. A lot of people when they go into Google or any search engine, they have this thing called the algorithm.
Mm-hmm.
So what you tend to look for, like
Is what they going to? Yeah.
like if you Google Jasmine Crockett's amazing or Jasmine Crockett is fine, or Shania Lathan, if
Watch
everything
it
is
now.
about that right there, guess what's gonna come up no matter what you put in? Things to favor that. So what I do, I put my browser in incognito mode. So it doesn't use an algorithm. I'm just looking up that information. That's how I found out all the people Jeffrey Epstein that's in Congress now who he donated to.
Mm-hmm.
When I did it before I went in incognito, nothing came up. But now that now that I put it in incognito, guess what? It's no algorithm. It's just giving me, it don't know what side I'm leaning on or anything. It's just giving me information. And I try to pull at least 5 or 6 sources and I read them all. And then I say, okay, this is what I present. And because I know there's a chance of me being wrong, guess what I do? I post the link for people to see it for themselves.
Mm-hmm. No, I was
So
just asking why you was
so
there.
that's why I said, like, when you say, have you ever looked back a year and you've been wrong? Like, I thought I wasn't wrong about them feminizing black men. I wasn't wrong about them using COVID to mess up our reproductive systems. I wasn't wrong about the all vaccines that contain mercury. That's that uh that only contributes towards dementia or Alzheimer's. They're literally just taking it out of all vaccines. It took a crazy dude like Bobby Kennedy to get it removed. Mercury has no use in vaccines. So why were they putting it in there? Because they try to make us sick. So I wasn't wrong about that. Like, so the thing is like, I also don't jump to conclusions. Like, if something happens, I don't hurry up and I don't go on Facebook. I don't go on anything. I don't give my input until I wait a little bit for more facts to come out.
Mm-hmm.
That's like they having the kid that shot Trump last year, in the ear up in Butner. They was all saying, oh, he was MAGA this, MAGA that, or whatever. And next thing you know, they're posting a photo of him in the 7th grade, 8th grade. I'm like, why aren't they posting like him as 22, 21? You know why? Because they don't want trans people to be attacked or to be judged. So I tell people, like, when they, the brother that was in Georgia that went to the construction house, and the father and the son, I think they got life in prison, but they shot the brother.
Mhm.
You remember him? What was his name? But the only picture they was showing of the brother was him in his prom, like him in his suit, like
Which case? What was this?
it was in Georgia. The white dude and his son shot him and killed
Ahmaud
him.
Aubrey.
Yeah, that's him.
Ahmaud Aubrey. Yeah.
Why they just show his picture? Like, to me, they was justified in getting life. So let me be clear. They should have got life, and that's what they got. But the thing is, why are you showing a picture of him 7 years prior to when his senior portrait for high school? Why didn't you show us up-to-date photo? It's like the media period tries to paint a picture
Mm-hmm.
on what they want us to think of everybody, how they want the narrative to go. Like I said, if he was guilty of what he was doing, me and my wife guilty. When we moved into this house 10 years ago, they were building two more houses, 5 and 6 houses down. Guess what? The door was open, and guess what we did? We walked because we nosy. I want to see, okay, what kind of floor plan they got. Like we that's what we did because we just being nosy. So
And like you told me earlier, that's the chance you take, though.
and you're right. You're
Being
right, it is.
nosy.
But I made sure I said, look, we just closed on that house last month. Here's my ID. I live there. So we're just nosy. I'm gonna be upfront. I'm gonna be like, hey, we just being nosy neighbors. We want to see what type of floor plan they got.
I ain't gonna lie. I did the same thing when our house was getting built in Raleigh, because it
Yeah,
wasn't
so
no houses in there. All of them was built new at the same time. I'm like, let me see what they working with.
just like the officer that just got convicted for what, Sandra Bland.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's like, he got convicted. Like, now he's awaiting sentencing, and I think he in that state he's getting at least 25 years. But the thing is like, I felt he was wrong, but I actually felt his supervisor was even more wrong because they didn't make sure he knew the culture in the black community. He should have been trained at least enough or been familiar enough with the people to know that I rebuke you, or in the name of Jesus, that ain't a threat on your life.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why he didn't have proper training in de-escalating. He escalated the situation. So I
And,
just think
and, it's, and that's another point. I'm glad you said that. Drew said, so what he donated to is on both parties or one. I'm gonna be there Thursday. But Drew, I know the answer to that. It was definitely both parties because I've seen some of those people too. It was Democrats and Republicans.
did you see the list?
I didn't see the entire list, but I've seen enough names because I know they was coming after. I can't think of a name. I don't know nothing about it. That's why I didn't really care.
I'm gonna tell Jude just to tune in Thursday because I'm gonna actually open the website up so you can literally go through all the names. And there's a
quite
reason.
a few.
What you say?
I said, and there's quite a few.
Oh yeah, but I also been going through. I think Julie was on the you was I think at the concert, but Jude was on the podcast where I showed all the Epstein files that's been released. It's like 55,000.
Mm.
All the flight manifests have been released. And I just want to give you one example. Trump flew 7 times on Jeffrey Epstein's jet in 1990. Him, his wife Marla Maples, and Tiffany Trump. They all flew from New York. The manifest showed New York to Palm Springs and vice versa.
Mm.
And everybody's like, well, Trump had a jet. He had his own private jet then. Well, what else happened in 1990? February, Nelson Mandela was freed. And guess what happened? Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson, when Nelson Mandela was getting ready to get freed, they collected all this money to say that we're going to fly him around the country to spread awareness of apartheid and racism. When Mandela got freed, guess when they never showed up? No jets, no nothing. So who let Mandela use his jet for 14 months to fly his 88 staff members around for free?
I remember
That's
you said that on the show. I just didn't get a chance to look it up, to verify whatever. But I'll take your word for it. I
no,
don't
but
know.
but like I have the folder right here on my desktop with literally the files. But so I tell folks, like, just I hear people all the time talking about, oh, they need to release a file. I ask them, of the 55,000 pages that was released, how many have you read?
And what difference is it gonna make?
But my thing is, if you making a big stink about files being released,
Mm-hmm.
not even knowing that every month they're releasing batches of files because they have to
Oh, I
go
get what you're
through
saying. Yeah, that's
them.
me. If you
Don't,
care about that,
I
if you
mean,
like you said earlier, if you're gonna have that energy, have that same energy toward everybody, not just Trump
I
per
mean,
se or whoever.
I do it because I just like I didn't I don't particularly like Kamala, but guess what? I bought a book and I read it 2.5 times because when I talk about something, I want to make sure I read it for myself. I'm not relying on somebody else to say because a lot of times I hear a lot of folks say, I heard so and so said this, or they said this, or they said that. I want to look at it for myself. So that's the thing right there. When I just want to be factual. So when I tell people like Obama wasn't the first black president, I said Abraham Lincoln was. I'm like, okay. They're like, no, what you talking about? The Lincoln conspiracy, why he was killed. It documents right here his mother's lineage to show that she was black. So it's like did my research. Prince even said it 2 months before he died. Well, I think he was killed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm upset because I found out Obama wasn't the first black president, but he was the seventh mixed president.
Yeah, he did say that on an interview with Tavis Smiley.
And he was 2 years later. So that's why I tell people, like, I try to read as much as I can. I don't like, even though I don't particularly like some people, but I even got, I mean, you look, I got this big thing, Candace Owens. I don't like 50% of the stuff she say, or I don't agree with 50% of the stuff she say. The other 50 hit or miss. But if I'm going to talk about her, I want to understand. I want to know what I'm saying. Like, I don't want every time I speak, oh, well, so and so did this or so and so said this. I
Mm-hmm.
like to just find the facts of myself. And fortunately, I'm at a position where I can spend that time reading.
Yeah.
I can do the research myself. But I also don't mind sharing it either because I want everybody to kind of like understand how it is.
Mm-hmm. And like I said, to each his own. I agree. I agree with what you said. I want to get off of that, but and it's funny how you say what you said about the governor. All he got to do is this here and that there. The more and more I listen to you, it makes me think of, which is why I don't like to get involved with politics
Yeah.
because it's all a game being played, and unless you're in the commissioner's office, forget the commissioner office. Unless you're in that owner's meeting, and that goes down in the NFL, we don't know whether we being duped, entertained, the integrity of the game, the sport of football, whatsoever. We gotta deal with what we see. You know what I mean? And it made me think about how you were talking about how they all you got to do is this, all you got to do is that. Makes me think about baseball. And this is the last I'm talking about Charlotte, but it makes me think about baseball. One of the reasons that I don't like baseball, I don't care for Major League Baseball. One, I think it was atrocious that they didn't have the greatest player ever in the Hall of Fame, Pete Rose. And I understand he gambled and all that. There, they ain't like he gambled that they would win. Whatever. That's one and foremost. But two, the way they crack down and they hold Sammy Sosa, Mark
Mark McGuire,
McGwire, uh,
A-Rod.
Rodriguez, Barry Bonds, all these people, they put this asterisk in it and they hold it against them because they was using steroids. When baseball was the ones that introduced the steroids to the players. The players ain't know that, you know what I mean? So, but now you're a hypocrite, act like, no, we're going to crack down on this, but you're also the supplier. It's not making sense. And the reason I know stuff like that happens,
they turned the blind. What they turned the blind eye, but the one mistake that they made was when they called Jose Canseco a liar. Because when they call Jose Canseco a liar about using steroids, and he's saying just about he said 40% of the league uses it.
mm-hmm.
He gave them a syringe with the actual sample of what was being used.
And they knew about it.
No, but the thing is, Jose had that because a lot of people don't know this, that like, let's say for the Tour de France or the Olympics, you got to pee and they freeze your pee for 10 years, for a whole decade. Like it's some storage, someplace either in the Netherlands or something. There's a site where it's stored and cataloged. So what happens is, let's say if you think your youngest son is smoking, is doing cocaine, right? You go to CVS or Walgreens and you get a marijuana sense kit. You give him that test, he tests clean because it's tested only for marijuana. In order for them to test for the steroids, they literally have to have a sample of that steroid. Nobody knew about the clear until Jose Canseco gave them a sample of it. Then guess who they busted? Lance Armstrong for using it, Marion Jones for using it.
Mm-hmm.
They busted all these people because the clear was undetectable until they got a sample of it. But baseball, what you're saying as far as baseball, all they cared, I mean, you knew, anybody in their right mind knew Rodriguez could be iffy, but Barry Bonds and Mark McGwire, when them jokers going back to back home runs, every like Barry Bonds broke the record and he was walked the most. Like he has a record for being walked in the season, and that joker led
anybody in the American League.
I mean,
and that was one of the things that bothered me about Barry. I don't want to turn it into that get into that whole conversation. I'm trying to get out of here soon. But Barry ain't even had to take steroids. Barry was already a superb baseball player. That's the most infuriating thing when it comes to Barry to me. Like, it wasn't like he was deteriorating. He was so much better than everybody else. You didn't have to take steroids. Drew said we all being duped, bro. That's what I'm saying. Because before even the steroids, though, it was the greens. My point is, like, all right, before I get off of this, I know somebody personally that played in the NFL. Right? Inside source, inside information. They told me the first time that they ever seen cocaine in their life was the first time that they showed up to an NFL team practice facility. They was the team was the ones because they want their linebackers to be playing with all that anger, all that, because it brings something to the game. But they had never seen cocaine into their life until they got introduced to it by one of their coaches. So that's what I'm saying about, of course, they never gonna come out and tell us that we the supplier. If you the sheriff of the police in your city, you can't also be the biggest drug dealer. And in some cases, that's exactly what's happening. You know what I mean? So
they just busted what was it, 22 officers for working in Texas, working with the cartels.
That's my point.
They
so
was actually they was hauling the drugs.
Marv, Drew said, Marv, they have to cover themselves. That's anything. What you think they do in pot? That's my point. So that's what I'm saying. I'm kind of scaling back a little bit because, to Sam's point, it is gaslighting. They want this reaction, but there's no way in the world that you can't tell me that these governors, these sheriffs, they don't know what's going on in ICE too. It's something more than what we know. All we seeing is what we seeing, but there's some stuff that's going on. There has been some meetings behind the scenes that I just don't. We like I said, we don't have that information. We don't have access to that. Like you brought up church earlier. I've seen that many a times. You know what I mean? Where you got churches, they got their board of directors or whatever the case may be. Now, the pastor might say, you know what? Something simple. We're not going to have no dress down Sunday. You know what I mean? That might be the pastor's position. And they say, no, we want to get a younger crowd in here. We want to reach the youth and more people. So let's have a dress down Sunday once a month. They outvote the pastor. Pastor goes in the pulpit. Pastor's not going to say, well, even though I voted for nobody having a dress down Sunday. He's going to promote the message that what was voted upon, even though he might not agree with it. But we don't even know that meeting took place because we don't, you know what I'm saying, what goes on in those meetings are not discussed with the lay members of the church. Only those people on that board know, but pastor is the face of it. So it's so much smoke and mirrors, and to Drew's point, in every aspect of life. In every aspect of life. So we got to be real careful. That's one reason I always promote what? Having a personal relationship with God. Because when you have the Holy Spirit steps in and says sometimes, don't believe what your eyes see. Don't believe what your ears hear. You know what I'm saying? But if you don't have that relationship, you don't have that. It kills me, these new fads. And they get on my nerves so much sometimes. But in spirituality now, we keep hearing this word, discernment. Oh, you got to have discernment. All you folk that's claiming you got discernment, it just sounds good. Half of y'all ain't got no discernment. It sounds good and superficial. And we like to do stuff like that there to justify or to try to convert people to our side of the argument because we disagree with yours. Which is, I don't understand that point. Let people do what they do. You know what I'm saying? It's not my job or my responsibility to get Sam to think like I think. Or if he don't think like I think, it ain't no point in us having no conversation. Well, you got people that's like that. It's far too many people like that, especially in this day and time. No, the Bible said, let us come together in reason. That's why you need more people that are not like-minded at the table. That's when we get the real solutions. We might not be able to do nothing about the immigrant situation, but guess what? If we all get on there, we can all agree upon we got love for our family. We want better education for our children. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. We want better equality for this here and that there. We could all agree upon that, whether we Democrat, whether we liberal, whether we Republican, whether we black, whether we white. So let's get more people to come together and talk about all these issues to find out what's the most common denominators to make this society a better place to live. That's I don't understand why that's so hard. But I take that back. It's so hard because people like, well, because you don't eat no pork, I don't know, I'm gonna eat my pork. Like, you don't even want to hear my health reasons why I stopped eating pork, or the benefits that I've seen to stop eating pork, or people now with the sea moss and all these, the oregano oil, how all these things here. And me and my mom, we talk about this often. It's funny how you'll go to the doctor and take the doctor's word for what they telling you your ailments are and how to go about it. Where 400 years ago, you didn't even got to go back that far. 100 years ago, 200 years ago, you know what Big Mom and them did? Well, if you got cut, they had a resolution of what they call the home remedies.
Yeah.
Those things was working for those people all the time back then. But now, Big Pharma and all these drug companies come in and say, you know what? Hey, let's make some money off of this. It's too much money to be made. It's too much money to be made. So let them tell us. One of the things that always, before I get off this tangent and vent, one of the things that always bother me with the medical field is I think it should be totally illegal for you to go to the doctor office and they tell you, okay, Sam, You go there because you think you might have a bladder infection or whatever the case may be. All right, well, we're going to run some more tests. In the meantime, a doctor can legally tell you, listen, try this right here. Come back and see me in a month. Schedule it with my assistant. Schedule another appointment for a month from now. Now I don't know if it's gonna work for you or not, but in a month's time, we're gonna look at the numbers again, and we can make adjustments based off of that. That should be illegal, because what it is these doctors don't mean that it's better for you, but they're getting paid for these pharmaceutical companies to experiment these drugs on us. Yep. It ain't no different than in the hood when you, hey, take a bag of this here and let me know what you think. You know what I mean? So you get the other fiends coming and tell how good it was. And they coming back, they're gonna bring you money because that first bag is the only one that you get for free. It's the same exact concept legally though. Like, this is America. This is the way we live, man. And it is totally foul, man. But I wanted to get off that because I wanted to talk about it. We didn't get a chance to talk about it at all last week. But another thing that's been bothering me, and it's like, you know me, I never have no love whatsoever for the cowgirls. Whatsoever. But it broke my heart. And I definitely want to offer my condolences to the Needland family. And the reason I hadn't talked about it earlier is because I wanted to do a little bit more due diligence, a little bit more research on it. But what's going on, man? What's going on? We talked about the Charlotte incident. That's over. What's going on in our society, bro, where a 24-year-old young man in the NFL making millions of dollars will get to the point where he doesn't want to be here anymore? We're seeing, I was reading somebody's post that's a teacher or works in the school system. They said within the last month, bro, they had to talk to so many elementary kids about wanting to commit suicide. What is going on that our children, it's like suicide is getting younger and younger and younger, bruh. What are you going through so bad that you don't want to be here no more at 13 years old, at 11 years old? And I know you got so many different aspects. You got unstable, toxic environments at home. You got people getting bullied. You know what I mean? And it makes me, I'm sensitive to it because I'm one of those people, like you were talking about, it is what it is earlier. I used to say the same thing about bullies. Like, bullies is a necessity for society. The same way I had to deal with bullies and it made me who I am, they should have to deal with bullies. But not to the point where they don't want to be here no more. I didn't understand. I'm taking back on my stance. You know what I mean? I've had a change of mind because my thing was, because I couldn't relate to it, I was insensitive to it. And we're talking about somebody that has attempted suicide himself. So, but I was of age at this time. For kids to be going through this here because they're being bullied, my thing was like, I don't know if it was coming up in Newark or whatever, but how can you be getting cyberbullied? This person hasn't even seen you. How are you letting that impact? You know what I mean? And one thing you always talk about, you said something earlier, how I always took, it's two people. I raised both of my sons along with their mother. But I raised both of my sons with something that I instilled in them from the time that they could understand or comprehend anything. Don't let anything that goes on or anything that someone says to you outside of these four walls here dictate how you move and how you think. They don't matter. If you know that you ain't fat, why are you worried about if somebody else call you fat? If you know that your clothes ain't dirty, why are your clothes then why are you letting that affect you? Even if your clothes are dirty. It's just so many different layers to it, bro. It's just so many, and it bothers me got this young man with so much of a future. And then I seen the because I even posted it, the 911, where the girlfriend is talking to the police, telling them to please find him because he had just sent the whole goodbye text to everybody, his family. You know what I mean? So people,
Yeah.
please, 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 whatever you do, don't be out here drinking and driving. It is not worth it because you might not just be putting your life in jeopardy. You might be putting someone else's life in jeopardy. We got to be more careful about these different things, but I'm just thinking about the psychological point. What is going on within our children that they don't want to be here no more, bro?
Man, I'll be honest. From my perspective, when we talk about kids, like somebody in NFL is different. I know a lot of active NFL players, and a lot of them, I can't say names here, but a lot
Mm-hmm.
of them have thought about suicide.
Mm-hmm.
But and I'll come back to that after I talk about the kids. No kid is trans unless their parent has instilled it in them. No kid is racist unless the people they're around has taught that and instilled it in them. When we're in a society now to where our kids, we don't have parents being parents anymore. We have parents that want to be friends. And our kids now are over medicated. They're self-diagnosing themselves because of what they hear. But for me, bro, it's on the parents. If your kid's being cyberbullied, your kid ain't no dang on teenager. How do you not know how much screen time they getting? How do you know? You follow what I'm saying? Like there has to be like it's pads out here, iPads and tablets, spending more time with the kids. And you hear a lot of these kids on this game called Roblox. Well, guess what they found out? They just arrested, I think, like 12 people because they were stalking, bullying kids in that Roblox game. Like, I guess you can message back and forth. So they're like, oh, you ugly anyways. And like that's how it starts. So, but where's the parents at? You letting that iPad, that tablet babysit your child. So guess what? How you instilled in your boys, how we instilled in our son, guess what? Our boys wasn't on. I wasn't even in your house, but I'm pretty sure they wasn't on tablets all the time. I know your youngest because he was always at practice. But you follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it's I always tell parents, like, if your kids is not ready for this world when they turn 18, I blame the parent.
Mm-hmm.
Like just like the little thing of me getting a duplicate, telling my son, advising him to get duplicate license, that's me just preparing him for the
Mm-hmm.
world that we live in today.
And just to add on top of which, not to take anything away from what you're saying, another part, as I'm sitting here and I'm thinking and I'm listening, it's like another part of it is because I've never liked that whole argument. The parents, we got to put more on the parents. We got to put on the parents. I'm not saying that is wrong. I just never subscribe to that because I think about my situation and my parents. My mother raised me in church. I was at church every single time the door was open, but that ain't stopped me from going out there doing what I was doing in them streets either. So we can't put everything on the parents. But what we can do, like I said, to add on what you're saying is what we can start doing is we could get back to that community because you got mothers out here, you got single mothers out here that are working 2 to 3 jobs to make ends meet. So instead of you worried about me and mine, no, how about you invite that child over when they come over from school so that you can make sure, even though this is not your family, not your physical, it's just your neighbor, making sure that that child is doing at their homework, that they're getting a proper meal, that they're not being left alone in a house by themselves because the mother's just, she making $12 an hour on one job, $10 an hour on doing the best that she could do. You know what I mean? With what she got. So I would like to see us as a community get more involved again. Back to the way, We know how you said it. You know how it was in Detroit or how it is in the hood. I can remember, rest in peace, Miss Louise and Miss Thelma that lived across the street from me. We called them neighborhood watch before neighborhood watch was a thing, because back in those
Mhm.
days they gonna get on you, then they gonna tell your mother, then your mother gonna tell your father when you get there. So you got in trouble 3 different times. So
But
you had
that's the
to,
thing. That's the thing. The village is gone.
yeah, and that's my point. We got to get
When you
back to that
try
village.
when you see a young brother, a young dude walking down the street, pants down, and you say something to him. Next thing you know, the mother banging on the door. You got something to say. Like they don't want because they trying to be friends
Mm-hmm.
instead of being a parent.
Now, if that ever happens to me, then guess what? Okay, then I'm gonna step back. But I can't let that type of reaction stop me. I'm talking about me personally. I
Oh, me
can't let the
personally too.
possibility of you doing that or that being your position as a mother stop me from doing what I feel like I need to do as a man. You know what I mean? Because I've
At the
seen
end of the day, at the end of the day, I'll say something, so at least I can walk away saying, at least knowing that I said something.
exactly, exactly,
So but if they don't want to follow that advice, so at least I know I said something.
and that's my point. At least you could do from your perspective, each and one of us as adults, the least you could do is your bare minimum. Even if it's something as simple as you shouldn't be wearing your pants like that. Have a little self-respect about yourself. Think about how the society looking at you, or why they were running one down on you when you dressing like that, or you know what I mean. Whatever the case may be, because and that has nothing to do with just gender. I mean, I'm not gender. I'm sorry. That has nothing to do with race. That you see something, you say something. That should be simple. That ain't hard to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because a lot of times, to your point, think about this. When you look at it from the opposite end of the spectrum, sometimes when you look at it from the child's perspective, a lot of this acting out behavior is a cry for attention. It's a cry for help because they don't feel love. They don't feel like nobody cares. Nobody ever told me I need to pull my pants up. They didn't. They don't tell me I need to be not outside at 2 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning at 13 years old. Like to your point, we got to stop being our friends. I told my boys that they whole entire lives, and both of them could confirm it. The next time Lights on the show, he could definitely confirm it. But I would have tell them from the time they was 3 years old to this day right now in their 20s. Look, I'm gonna always be your father first. Now it's cool if we be boys or we get a friendship, but don't ever get that twisted because I'm gonna always be dad first. And anytime I need to play that position as a dad, even though you're a grown man now, if I need to have a conversation with you, father to son, that's what it's gonna be. And I'm
Mhm.
willing to jeopardize our relationship for that. You know what I mean? Even if you don't never want to talk to me again, because it's my response, it's my not just my responsibility, it's my God-given responsibility to be a father first. And if you're a parent, whether you're a female or not, to your point, Sam, and I'm not trying to bash on them, but we see that way too much when it comes to our females. You know what I mean? And then we want to wonder why the next generation, or it's funny. Like you said, we y'all know already. I ain't even got to say it. I never name names, but I got a friend, right? They always talk about how I don't know what happened to the generation before our parents, because it's like these dudes ain't got no, they this, they feminine, they this and they that kid, and they whatever your reason may be. But you raise your son to be the same dude that you complaining about.
Yeah.
Make that make sense. You know what I mean? You complain about how soft they are, but you raising your boy, like to your point earlier. Oh, don't you say nothing to my son. If anybody gonna say something to my son, it's gonna be me. Now come on, baby, what you want to eat? Man, you don't know eat no McDonald's. We going to Applebee's. I don't do no no McDonald's, do no fast food. I want no dollar menu. Okay, you right. We gonna go to no, that's not parenting. That's not
Man, you
parenting.
got you got females basically their sons have basically replaced the man in their life.
And that's all it is.
Like they going on dates, they going to dinner and stuff. Yeah, they're not kissing or nothing.
Because you know
Some
what it
crazy.
is called? In spirituality and sports, you know what it's called? It's called the path of least resistance. I don't want to hear man in that mouth. I don't want to hear a man holding me accountable. And men do the same thing. I know chicks, I know dudes like that that don't do relationships for that same so that same reason. Or we
Yeah,
always talk about how, and it's not. I'm just using this as an example. I'm not saying that it's in all cases, but you see a lot of men that are crossover. What's good, Dorothy? You see a lot of men that cross over and date outside the race. Why? What's the number one reason that most of them say? Because I ain't got time to be dealing with all that mouth. There's a lot less stress over here. She gonna help me build my dream. She here to support me. She ain't here to tear me down in the process. And it's like I always talk about this when I was doing like marriage counseling or talk to people that's getting ready to get married or couples and different things of that nature. There, like for the people that are biblical and spiritual or Christians, when it talks about a man being the leader, that scripture does not say that you're supposed to submit to your husband or follow your husband as long as you agree with it.
yeah,
Back to your point all the time when we were children. You think about it outside of a romantic relationship. We didn't always agree with the rules of our parents' house. But guess what? When we look back all these years later, how many times you thank God for something that your father instilled in you, that your mother disciplines you about, that you know what I mean, that when you look back on it now as an adult, say, you know what? I didn't see it then, but that might be the main reason I'm still here today.
yeah,
We don't want to hear that lipping relationship. I don't want to hear no woman coming at me like that. She don't want to hear no man coming at you like that. So that's why I say it's the path of least resistance, because who ain't gonna come at me like that? My child. You know what I mean? And it's funny that I'm even saying that, because that don't have to be necessarily true either in most cases. I remember growing up, West Side, elementary school, people that would come over and visit me in my house, or just in general, when they would find out some of the things that, because they always knew my mother was a church lady, but when they would find out some of the conversations that I would have with my mother, they were flabbergasted. Because me and my mother talked about everything. Sex, I mean, all this. I'll never forget. One time, this is how cold stone cold my mother was, yo. And I hope she don't get mad at me for telling this, but this is God out the truth. I remember it was a young lady I was dating at the church that we went to. My mother told her right in front of my face, leave my son alone, because he don't mean you no good. This is my mother. My mother cop blocking. My mother hating on me. You know what I'm saying? But we literally talked about everything. And people are like, how you talk about that with your mom? Because she created an environment where I felt safe for that there. So I could feel like I could talk to anything about my mom. My mom asked me how something looked or how something smelled. I'm keeping it real with her. You know what I mean? Because I don't want her. She asked me my opinion for a reason, because she know I'm not going to just tell her what she want to hear. Oh no, you killing that. And then everybody laughing at her. You see what I'm saying? So we got to get back to that. We forget the path of least resistance, but let's be able to get back to it. And like you said, stop making your sons the man of your life. That is the Bible talks about decency and order. That is out of order. That is out of order. I've had the same conversation and arguments with pastors and bishops, people that's high up in the clergy. Because when we talk about decency and order, your church, as unpopular as this may be, your church does not become before your wife. Your church does not become before your family. The hierarchy, the order is God, then your fam, then your spouse, then your children, then your church. Not your church. We got to get back in order as far as, you know what I mean, what we believe in, our principles, not what we want it to be. Because I'm seeing too many variations of this. I seen a beautiful post this morning. Said, God, won't you come back down here to show us how Christianity is supposed to be really done? Because I don't know at this point. You got so many different things. I posted the picture and everybody was commenting on it last Sunday, with in Atlanta, the little pastor up there, they shouting and everything else. The spirit is high, and they paying to the first gentleman of the church. You got people up here kissing in the pulpit now. You know what I mean? So it's just it's oversaturated, almost like even as far as television. I was having this conversation with my son and my brother not too long ago, and I was like, one of the problems is I think we're over access, and I'm done on it after this. But it's like people forget Satan is the prince of air. This internet, social media, and all that there is what? Airwaves, television. We have too much access to too much stuff right now, and it's not all that is bad for you. But when we all, I posted from time to time, being funny, but I'll be actually sincere as well. I remember when TV went off. I remember come 2:00 in the morning, you seen the flag flying, and then it would stand by to 5:00 in the morning. You ain't getting nothing but fuzz. TV went off.
Yeah.
Now you go from having 5 channels, ABC, NBC, Fox wasn't even around at this time. You know what I mean? But you go from having 5 channels, maybe 4 top, 3 on the bottom, when you need applies for the TVs, to now we got over 3,000 channels. You got do-it-yourself channel. You got the food channel. You got the military channel. You got A&E. You got the fat people channel. You got my 600-pound wife. Sports Center. It's like oversaturated. We have too much access and what that does is we get desensitized because we're so into this here and that there. You even talked about how you were guilty of it. Think about it like this. Talk shows, late night talk shows. Why stay up to 11:35 to watch it when I could just get up in the first thing in the morning and listen to the monologue on my ride to work or whatever the case may be? We have too much access, and when we don't live in the moment, people always talk. You always say because we always say we don't never want to sound like the old day back in my day. But one of the friends was asking me, you always been in the music and going to concerts and comedy shows and this and that there. Like, what's the major difference? I said, we enjoyed the moment. In the 90s, you had to be there. That was the saying. You had to be there. You could tell somebody else about it, but if you wasn't there to experience it yourself, it was different. And because everything wasn't so saturated, we enjoyed going to the Peppermint Lounge there in Orange, New Jersey, and seeing talent, and seeing Bill Bellamy, and seeing some more, and Adele Givens, and Bernie Mac. The list goes on and on and on. Before Def Jam, this before black comedy was a thing. You see what I'm saying? And it's hard for people to imagine that now, but we had access to it. And it was like just this local spot. That's why when Def Jam did the 25-year anniversary, and it was, mega stars, for just that little 3 minutes where Adele Givens started talking about it. We had the Peppermint Lounge there in Jersey, and Tiffany Haddish like, what's the Peppermint Lounge? Like, girl, man, you think Apollo was something. You couldn't come through that. Like, if you could make it at the Peppermint Lounge, you knew you was going to be funny. You know what I'm saying? So it was good for them to salute that. But it also made me appreciative of the fact that I'm not the only one that misses that nostalgia of it.
Yeah.
So to your point, yeah, man, let's get this community back. Let's get the village back. And how about we just, like I said, taking an interest in another young man? It's called an investment. You see somebody out there, like I said, there's too many single mothers out here that's trying to do it on their own. I'm at that point now. It's like, you know what? If I could be a male figure, I ain't trying to be nobody's father because I got 2 sons. Feel me? I'm not trying to be nobody's father. But I can still be a male figure. I think about how to this day, 30 years later, I still got a relationship with all my football coaches that are still alive because they were male figures, and you know what I mean? They gave me that access to them, and we built relationships. It wasn't just as long as you here, I'm going to coach you. We got lifelong relationships. I still got teachers from high school and elementary school that I'm cool with. You know what I'm saying? So I just think is we have to age now. We have to take our responsibility to make sure that we contributed the best of our ability individually. This window was open. Who was neglect parents, landlords? The windows was open. Who was? Oh, I didn't even see the first comment. I'm sorry, Dorothy. Did you know a 2-year-old fell out a 20-story window at Elizabeth Towers, Newark, and died Saturday? Oh my God! I did see something like that, but I didn't get all the details. There was another one. Somebody else fell out a window on Chancellor Avenue. That's what it is. It's just so chaotic right now, bro. It is so chaotic. It's unfortunate. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know, Dorothy. I don't know who to put that on. The parents. I don't know because I don't know the whole situation. But I know that what they used to do back in the day was a lot of time when you're in those high rises, they had it where, because God knows I hated to go visit them. You take the Colonnade for example. I had a partner that lived in the Colonnade. When you got to a certain floor, you couldn't even open no windows.
Yeah.
Like, or some other places they had the bars on the window where, you know what I mean, you couldn't do all of that there. Even when some of the hotels in Jersey was like that, you know. So I don't know. I don't know whose fault it is. It's just unfortunate that a 2-year-old life is gone because of somebody negligence, whether it's the parent or the landlord. You sound like you wanted to say something, Sam.
No, you know me. My first thing is on the parent. Like you know, we talking about 2-year-old. When you're a toddler, you explore. You're just learning how to walk. You're going everywhere, and as far as the landlord, like, how can you blame the landlord if the building was up to code? Like, if it's not code to have windows where they can't open more than 3 or 4 inches,
Mm-hmm.
where that head could fit through or something. Like, it's just about being aware. That kid could have been that young baby could have. A parent may have thought they was on their tablet, you know, and because that kid is now walking, the parent may have just been on the phone texting, probably doing TikToks. Yeah, I'm not saying what that parent, I'm just
Yeah,
saying,
yeah.
like, just preoccupied
Mm-hmm.
and thinking that the tablet is doing its job. But I just hated that. I just hated that, you know, uh, as you said, a child was lost, but to even have to answer something like that because that parent has lost a child. And 2 years is not like, I'm not saying that any age is a loss is harder than the other because we all deal with loss differently.
Mm-hmm.
But I would definitely think that they're going through it right now. But I I don't know if they have other kids in the house or anything on the
Mm-hmm.
backstory, but I definitely hate that it has it. And I think bars on windows I think are now illegal due to the fact, like, if there's a fire, firefighters can't get through. I
Mm-hmm.
know a lot of insurance companies don't cover certain things. I know, especially in residential, like single family homes and townhouses, like, it's illegal to have bars on the window. Because there's a fire, you can't open the bars, you know, or let's say there's a latch, but because the bars have been up there so long, it's rusted closed. So I just think we have to start holding parents accountable.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Start paying attention to your child. Right now, you got more parents thinking about just who's going to watch the kid. They still want to live their best life. They don't want to be called grandmother because it makes them seem old. If you're a grandmother, you're a grandmother. So I think it's just people just need to start waking up. But I really hate that happened.
Yeah, me too. Dorothy said, I have been friends with my eighth grade teacher for 47 years now. That's amazing. Said it was an old building, no bars on the window. Drew said, no, Marv. I'm going to always blame all the adults in that apartment because they should have known better. Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree. I wasn't saying that it wasn't the parents' fault. I'm just saying, to Sam's point, everybody got to be there, but I won't give it into the semantics of parent. There's a 2-year-old that's going that should still be here. Doesn't
Yeah.
At this point, it doesn't really matter. I'm one of those people. Like, one of the things that bothers me all the time is when we get the loss of life or we hear about death, when people, the first thing they ask me is, what happened? It doesn't matter what happened. I don't care if it was cancer. I
Yeah.
don't care if they was hit by a car. My friend is gone. My family member is gone. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? People, some people that just like to know. Okay, well, if you just like to know, get that information from somebody else. I'm telling you, if you know me and you care about me and you love me, don't be asking me what happened. Or at
Yeah.
least don't let that be the first question that you ask me. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that really peeves me. But everybody's different. I'm just speaking for me. Then you had the 10-year-old that got shot and killed along with that young female, plus 5 others got hit. I was saying, it was mad crazy in Newark this last week, bro. I've been seeing so much different stuff going on. Shout out to not Nara. He do live and stuff. He do a lot of stuff on Instagrams and Facebook now. I started following him, and he's very active in the street. Um, don't keep up the good work, bro. But it's just so much going on, and people that believe in the power of prayer. At the end of the day, we need to be praying without ceasing. We need to be praying like never before for our families, for the Blues, for your neighbor's family, for the Puerto Rican families, for the Asian families, for everybody. Because it is this world as we getting in, is sick. I was on at work with somebody else last night and he was talking about it and how it was just disheartening. I said, the sad thing is, because of my relationship with God and my prayer life, I said, I hate to be the one to inform you, but it's going to get a lot worse before it even gets better. We think we seeing horrible times now, bro. It's going to be even worse. It's going to be even worse if we're still in this physical body here. So we got to stay prayed up like never before, man, because it's like the old saying, like Pac said it, but it was older than him. He just used it. We at the point where only God can help us. Only God himself can help us. Dorothy said also on Saturday at Chancellor Avenue on Leslie Street, 5 people were shot, 2 dead, including a 10-year-old and 3 injured in North. Yeah, that's the same thing Drew was talking about. That's the same story Drew was talking about. And it's crazy. And we just talking about Charlotte this weekend. We just talking about Newark. We ain't even talking about what's going on in Jew part of the world. We ain't talking about what's going on overseas. You know what I mean? Atrocity that's being committed to children and stuff over there. It's just so much going on at this time, man. And it's like when we get up out of here tonight, I gotta find some funny stuff to post because the stuff that I posted all week, man, it had me. I almost ain't even do the show tonight. That's how emotional I was, saying. It was like I almost didn't do the show tonight because my heart is grieving. My heart is grieving because whether like I said, I don't even want to bring that all back up. What illegal, all this other kind of stuff. At the end of the day, people's lives should matter. The people's souls should matter for us believers. At the end of the day, and what are we trying to do to win souls? What are we really trying to do to win souls? So that's my main focus, man. Again, prayers to the Needham family. Also, the Jets player, I'm praying that he recovers. One of the cornerbacks, I didn't get a chance to see none of the story on that as well, but I did see one of the Jet, I believe it was a Jets cornerback, Chris something. Chris, he got shot. He was in critical. Last time I checked, he was in critical but stable condition. Let's keep him in prayer as well. But like you said, Sam, mental health is something that's crazy. I don't know what it is about the game of football, whether it's all trauma or different things. I never blamed football for me being crazy in the head, but it definitely it definitely and I can only imagine. I didn't even make it to college level. I didn't take my college opportunity to go play football in college. So I can only imagine what it's like when you've been doing that since Pop Warner to high school to college to NFL. And one of the things that I always tell people is the only reason I ever started playing football was because when I got on defense, it was like, and this is really my psyche, Sam. My first day of practice,
Mm.
when I went to tackle somebody, I said, "You mean to tell me I can hit this dude as hard as I possibly can and can't get in no trouble?" And I started using it as a form to, if I had a, my mother said something that I ain't like, cool, let me store that. Had a fight with my girlfriend, cool, let me store that. Me and my homie had a disagreement, let me store that. I'm gonna take it all out on the field. For these next 2 or 3 hours, I'm gonna release everything that I've been going through with on the field. I use it as an outlet. Can you imagine if you've been doing that for 10, 15, 20 years and all of a sudden that outlet is taken away from you? You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah. I wanted to say something real quick. As far as like NFL players,
Mm,
and not just NFL players, it's any professional athlete. Uh, I've had to counsel a lot of players to stay off social media, like stay off of it, like because you have players that they're popular in high school. They go to NFL. Some of them maintain that. Some people got to start over because you a 18-year-old playing against 23, 22-year-olds,
mm,
and you're posting about the draft. You're posting about now you got some money, so you're traveling. You're going to Ibiza. You're going to Tulum. You're going to like you're posting your life, and every time people see you, they're like, "Oh man, I watched the game the other night, and I didn't see you playing. Oh, I got traded." Like the thing is like they don't realize the blessing that they have, but I think a lot of times it's that stigma of not being the star anymore or
mm,
not being the main go-to. Sometimes it can happen from injuries. Somebody may recover from an injury and they don't they don't get back to 100%.
mm,
It could be like it could be mental. That's something I think happened to Brown. Played with the Steelers. It seemed like after
Antonio Brown.
this one hit, he was never the same after that. But I think that right there was probably injury. But man, you wouldn't believe how many young players talk to me about just being so depressed.
Mm-hmm,
So when you have millions, money ain't everything.
mm,
Yeah, from the outside looking in, it may seem like it, man. You don't want for anything, but when you got money, a lot of your friends are in your friends because of what you can give them. Them
mm,
coattail friends. A lot of the even with dating, you, you know, is this young lady with me because I'm in the NFL?
mm,
And she trying to go viral and improve her following, or is she with me because she care about me?
mm,
So I think when it comes to professional athletes, whether male or female, they have a whole lot more pressure because you don't first of all, you don't know who you can trust anymore.
mm.
I mean, you got players that family members are robbing them blind.
Absolutely.
Like so who it is so much stuff. So when you become a famous athlete, you literally have to just watch because people are never happy. I tell some players, I'm like, your family is never going to be happy with you just giving them a little money.
Mm-hmm.
They will never be happy until they have everything that you have.
And that ain't happening.
And that's the thing. So you know when it comes to like a lot of the parameters like these shootings and Like it's sad, but there's also I had a friend maybe 2 weeks ago. Um, her son came home and his fiance got his gun and she shot herself. He came home and discovered her, and the son is just in there playing.
Mm,
So looking at what they went through, and everybody thought it was fine, and he went on social media and he talked about it, and he talked about like there were flags probably that he just didn't know about. I mean, he just ignored
mm,
because he's just so happy with having a child, and he didn't acknowledge her having like they call it postpartum depression, or so, just certain aspects. But he was like he was so enamored by his son and them about to get married and everything that there were some issues
mm,
that, or there like he literally said there were flags, but I kind of just ignored him because I'm like, well, as soon as we're married, these things are gonna be cool. Soon as our son starts school, like it's just all these things. So the thing is how is trying to decide how to say something and when not to. Like let's say for I'll just give one quick example. Let's say Miss Dorothy. Let's say me and her start dating, right? And we kind of like get in an argument. So me knowing today's world and most guys, let me sit back. When she ready to talk, she'll hit me up, you know. Now, on her side, if I try to blow her up, like when I say blow up, I'm talking about like call on the phone. Let me,
They gotta be clear these days.
yeah, I could call her like 5, 6, 7, 8 times. And she could be like, oh, yeah, he really care. Yeah, he hurting now. But then one of her friends could be in her ear, like, girl, he a stalker. He crazy. Girl, you better go get a restraining order if he called you that many times. But then if I sit there and just chill and wait to hear from her,
You don't care. Yeah.
oh, he ain't care. You see what I'm saying? It's like that catch 22. So when do you know when to do and when you don't? You know, like that's the thing. Like what her son said on the post was there were red flags, but he didn't think that they were that big. He's like, it wasn't like an abusive relationship. We hardly argued, it was like, but he just didn't read the signs. And now in hindsight, which most things are in hindsight, what we could have or should have, and all this. But at the end of the day, I just think we need to stop. We're feeling some type of way. We're looking at all these relationships on social media, where on this is how life should be, and if it's not like that, that's why you got the kids, the young kids, they're seeing all the social media and all that, and if they don't have it, they start getting depressed.
And that's just straight stupid to me. I don't. I swear I don't like people calling people dumb or stupid, but it makes no sense to me. Like I was just literally having this conversation this previous week where somebody was talking to me about Whack 100 and something about Whack, and I was like, the reason that these people stay relevant is because y'all feed their energy. If you totally ignore these people, then they won't even have no platform. And that's the thing with this, especially with, like you said your point earlier, with social media nowadays, everything is about chaos and drama. Like the Inquirer was PG back then compared to the world that we live in now.
Yeah,
I don't even know these people. But the blue face, whatever dude name, and the last name is Rock. Because that's the only reason I paid them any mind was to see if it was one of Chris Rock's daughters.
yeah,
Come to find out, dude, only reason they both famous is because they're in this toxic relationship. They fighting each other. They doing all kind of craziness. But y'all, oh man, did you see that? And people laughing thinking it's funny. That's not funny, yo. If you don't feed this behavior, then I always use the analogy or the comparison, and it's apples and oranges. But I always think about Two Live Crew, right? To me, that's the good place way to look at it. When I think about Two Live Crew, I was all for Luke and his First Amendment rights. I'm glad he went up against the government like he did, and he went to the Supreme Court and all that there, fought for the right. They got to put the stickers on the thing. Having said that, I have never in my life purchased a Two Live Crew tape or music or watched the video intentionally.
I ain't gonna lie, I did. That was
my
my
point is,
phase.
I believe in your rights. It just wasn't for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was time. Now there's times that with me and my boys, we would be in different ciphers, and the video might come on, but we had some East Coast playing, and they volume down just watching the video because the video is well worth watching. If you just put a different soundtrack to it.
Yeah, rap after dark. Look,
DT After Dark. Yeah.
I went through the phase where the only tapes I was getting were the ones that had the label on it, parental advisory. Like,
Exactly.
matter of fact, my first one I bought was, I didn't know what it was. I just saw the label, and I saw the little midget on there and these three guys that look crazy. And then I got it, the Ghetto Boys.
Yeah.
And man, I played that thing. I was like, but now I think back and I'm like, that's why we go through different chapters in life. And I think a lot of these, the young adults, like the 20s that are contemplating suicide and stuff, they don't understand that, like me being in my 50s, I've been like 4 different people in my life.
Absolutely.
And there's one of those person went through a lot of depression. One went through this gung-ho military phase. Like it was different things. But a lot of people don't know how to deal with themselves changing.
Mm-hmm.
Like they don't have a lot of friends around them at one point. Well, that's the chapter where you do need to start new. You need to start fresh.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you're alone don't mean you're a bad person. It's just sometimes you need change.
Mm-hmm.
And some people just don't know how to cope with that. And that's why I tell people, try to go to counseling, try to do something. You can't always talk to family because family always going to be biased. Towards you. They're always, oh, whatever you do is good. They're gonna say whatever that's gonna make you happy, or they're not gonna tell you the truth.
Mm-hmm.
I choose to go to somebody that don't know me, don't know my wife, don't know any of our family, not in our circle. So when I get in there, I put my feet up on that dang on couch. I take my shoes off, and I'm like, get ready. We got an hour. And I just let it out because I know it truly stays in that room.
Mm-hmm.
But that's how I'm able, anytime I'm going through a phase, that's what I do. But I think when you got these players, they have counseling available. The NFL thing on health plan is huge when it comes to counseling. Like you go to anybody you want. Like it ain't everybody's in network when it comes to counseling. So
you said they found 2 of them. Okay, yeah, I was just trying to get that for this pit. I did see that, Jew. They arrested 2 of them when that's related in the young man shooting. Dorothy, powerful statement, very true. Dorothy said, "Never be ashamed to ask for help if necessary or needed." I agree with Mr. Sam. I tell people, for me, I say if you are going through something, just know when you are ready to talk, just know I'm here. Absolutely. I say that on the show every week. I'm always available. And always end with "you matter to this world." From somebody got to say it, said, "Yes, sir, you got to move around and everyone can't." Thanks for the comment. Thanks for tuning in as well. Sometimes you need to release people out of your life for your peace and sanity because those people drain you. Absolutely. I agree 1,000%. I was thinking about that when Sam was talking earlier about the money and stuff in the NFL. I literally had this conversation with somebody He was asking me, you seem like you're the happiest that you ever been in your life. I said, one for me, that's kind of a layered thing, right? Because happiness has never been a priority for me. Do I want to be miserable my whole life? Absolutely not. But happiness is not a priority for me. And in the middle of that conversation, they was like, well, why you seem so happy now? I said, because I have something that I've been looking for my whole life. To me, the one thing that you know what you can't put a price on, and I wouldn't trade it in for $100 million. Peace of mind. I got peace of mind now. And that is priceless to me. It's the most priceless thing. It's better than love. It's better than anything I could think of. Anything I could think of. I know y'all, some of y'all think like, I know something better. No. All them peaches and the affection and all that thing. No. It is nothing like having peace of mind.
Yeah.
So, like Dorothy said, though, make sure, and another people, even if you're not ready to talk, right? Even if you're not ready, I'm speaking directly to anybody that's dealing with suicidal thoughts or whatever the case may be, because I'm speaking from experience. Whatever you do, don't isolate yourself. Don't be alone. Whether it's going to a bar, I wouldn't encourage that either, but go somewhere, go to the movie, go to church, go to the park. Don't isolate yourself. Because the more time you spend alone in that frame of mind, the higher percentages are you going to do something to harm yourself. So I remember one time in my personal life when I first got saved again, I knew it was going to be a hindrance for me if I didn't change my surroundings or my habits and my environment. Saying, when I tell you, when I moved to Little Rock, I didn't want to do it. But you know what? As a grown man, father of 2 boys, a husband, I would put myself on punishment. I wasn't working at the time. My wife would go to school, go to work. My boys would go to school. You know what I did? After I dropped them off, I would go straight to my mother's house and sit right there on the couch for a good 3 or 4 hours every single day. Because I knew if I had to stay at the house, I was going to pick up bad habits. I was going to start watching things that I ain't had no business watching. And it was days that I sat there on that couch to this day that I remember vividly crying. Because I'm like, why am I a grown man that has to put my own self on punishment? Because I knew myself as well. So sometimes it's about doing that thing that you don't necessarily want to do.
Yeah.
You know, people always talk about, I hate when people say that, especially church folk. And it's only because of my personal experience again, but when they say absurd stuff, I ain't gonna call it stupid, absurd stuff like God would never want you to be comfortable. I remember a season leading up to my divorce. I wasn't even divorced at the time, but I remember a guy coming to me one day specifically telling me, I need you to learn how to be comfortable being uncomfortable. That's what he told me directly. So I don't want to, I've never subscribed to the whole God would never ask you to be uncomfortable, because that's what the definition of faith is.
Yeah.
Now, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. How can you have confidence in something that you can't see and that you don't have any evidence of? So it's a slippery slope, but you got to be real careful. Like I said, I definitely want people to know I'm always accessible. Reach out to somebody. But even if you're not ready to talk, even if you're not ready to deal with whatever you're dealing with, don't isolate yourself. Don't find yourself alone, because I guarantee you it'll be it could go really bad. You said Dorothy said you just have to figure out what the real ones and family included. Mr. From somebody gotta say it. What's good? Is T Brown. Oh, all right. I'm gonna definitely be reaching out to you on Messenger, man. I really appreciate you tuning in. We've had a conversation about Chuck, rest in peace. And like I said, I'll holler at you. I'll holler at you once I'm done with the show, or sometime this week, sometime tomorrow. I'm gonna definitely get with you. But thanks for tuning in, bro. I appreciate that. Dorsey said, "Be right back. I have to make a pit stop." Cool. We gonna get up out of here anyway. But before we did, I had to address one more thing. Because my god brother asked me, said, "Bruh, what you got against Shador?" And we're gonna end it on a light note. One thing I love about most of our people, again, everybody's not the same, but one thing I love about our people is we're gonna stick together for the most part. You know, it's always gonna be an opposite end of that side, but truth be told, have a black folk, and it's not popular, but it don't mean that it ain't true. But have a black folk voted for Barack Obama because he looked like them. Nothing more, nothing less. They didn't know what platform he was running on, what politics he was, nothing about politics. He looked like me. They said we'll never have a black president. I'm going to do my part to make sure we got a black president. One of us in there. When I think about Shador Sanders, and I literally said it, I was being facetious, but I said it on my post. Now I just want him to get a few more starts. So y'all can see that he's not the dude that y'all hoping he gonna be. Because everybody making an excuse for him. Same people making excuses for him now. Well, he didn't have a whole practice. He ain't get to get no reps with the first team. Guess what? No other backup in the NFL get to get reps with the first team either. But they got to be ready to go in the game when the first string quarterback go out. That's first and foremost. My problem is, as much as I love Deion, and I've always been a Deion fan, except for when he was with the Cowgirls. I love Deion, everything about Deion. The reason that everything is happening to Shador Sanders is because of Deion Sanders. If Deion hadn't been so vocal and going on an award tour on all these different talk shows, back to your point earlier, Sam, I feel like Shador's being held a casualty of war because of his father. And the reason I say that is Deion was the one. If you know how sensitive it is, if you know the game that's being played, you're a Hall of Famer. You the same dude that talk about you ain't taking when you got drafted, you ain't even take no interview with the New York Giants because you wasn't gonna be there. You always been cocky and all that there. But that's what worked for you. If as a father, and I'm never questioning anybody's fatherhood, but as a father, why would you make that role that much harder for your son? Deion, ain't nobody tell Deion to be going out here on every award show talking about, well, look, they know who they are. If they select my son, then he got another year of eligibility. He gonna go where I tell him to go. Like, how you gonna take an establishment like the NFL, the Shield, the people that's so powerful, they took a whole day from God, like they said in one of the movies. Deion put Shador in that hot seat. Having said that, keeping it real, we talked about this on the show too, Big Five. Shout out to Big Five. We talked about it on the show in the beginning stages of the show. When it came to Colin Kaepernick, like I was talking about Luke a little while ago, when it came to Colin Kaepernick, was he treated unfair? Absolutely. And I wanted to see him get some justification as whatever. However, he was not a great quarterback. He was not a good quarterback. He was a mediocre quarterback at best. So a lot of people were like, nah, man, they doing them dirty and all that thing. Yeah, the principle was, but it ain't had nothing to do with football skills. You know what I'm saying? And I feel the same way about Shador. Why? This is my frustration when it comes to Shador. And it ain't nothing personal at all. But why are we talking about Shador Sanders every single week? And he's a third string quarterback that went in the 5th round. I haven't heard anybody talk about Cam Ward, who was the number 1 pick. You see what I'm saying? It's almost like Barkley and them was criticizing ESPN before they got on ESPN, when they were still at Turner last season. But why are we steady talking about the Lakers and the Lakers losing? We're not even talking about OKC and what OKC is doing. Every night we got to talk about the Lakers or why they lost, as opposed to giving these dudes their props. We steady talking about a third string quarterback. Now he gets a chance to get in there, and I hope he does do better. I hope he does make it to an NFL quarterback, or to be at least a good quarterback. I'm just saying from what I've seen as somebody that done plays the position and somebody that studies the position and coaches the position and looks at football a different way. When I look at Shedeur Sanders, you benefited and you got put in this position, one, because you played for your father. No other coach would allow you to do half the stuff that he did. And two, you played with the Heisman Trophy winner. When you look at their record from HBCU and then the Big 12, like I think you had brought it up one time, Sam, about how he was like, what, 13 in Colorado. Now, I don't even think he played that many games at Colorado. He was, 2 years? So he might have been like 500.
This is the thing. At Jackson, right? HBCU. Shedeur Sanders in bowl games is 0 for 4. 0 for 4. South Carolina, NC Central beat him down. South Carolina State beat him down.
Every year they went undefeated.
And the thing is like, I think Shedeur is a good player, but I feel everybody that got drafted ahead of him
deserve to
has shown, like, to hear people talking about Jackson Dart is not even close to Shedeur Sanders. And you see what Jackson Dart has done, like their record doesn't necessarily reflect it, but you got a dang on Jackson Dart been doing this thing. And then I look at, like, Deion set him up, not just because of that, but he gassed him up. Like, how many players lost every bowl game and get their number retired in college?
Come on, man.
And the first year they went, Pac-12 was packed. They had Oregon. I mean, the Pac-12 was like a high offensive conference.
Mm-hmm.
You end up last. Like, yeah, the year before you only won one game and you ended up last in the conference. The Pac-12, you're last in the conference. Then you move to a weaker conference and you're like third to the last. But every time you went to a bowl game, like, and you see what Colorado's doing now. That's why I hate it for Deion, because he's going through like he had bladder cancer, like he's going through a lot. But I'm like,
good, Kim?
I'm like, the way the coaches ain't, you can't say you don't have the talent. You can't say the kids in your class you didn't recruit, because remember when he came to Colorado, he cut 88 players to bring in his own. He even said,
"I'm bringing my own luggage."
He said, "I got Louis." Right? He had more. Colorado has had more 4 stars and a couple of 5 than, like, I mean, he has the talent, but it's your coaches that have to be able to get that talent, to do what it do. To me, NC State, great recruiting, but Coach Doran can't put it together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think, yeah, you have some NFL players that are like, come on as coaches, but Jordan was one of those that proved just because you was an amazing player don't mean you necessarily, like Warren Sapp. I love Warren Sapp. Warren Sapp is an amazing motivator, but I don't think he's a good coach, because Warren Sapp was a freak of nature. Like, he wasn't built like Shannon Sharp. Like, each year I remember they would say Shannon Sharp got voted the best in shape, in the NFL. Warren Sapp won the worst physique in the NFL. Like, he ain't lift weights, but he could play ball. So I just think like he's a great motivator, but Warren had that natural. Like it wasn't he was just natural at doing it. So I think they just demoted the offensive coordinator to just a quarterbacks coach, but they're gonna have to do something. But I just hate it for Dion because I'm such a fan, but to see all the health, the medical stuff he going through,
Mm-hmm.
um, you hate it, but you right. He put that target on Shador back. Like he's the one who said this. If the another year eligibility, if they don't draft my boy, it's because of me, not because of them. The thing is, no player is above the NFL.
No player.
Like there's 750 guys in line to take his place.
Mm-hmm.
Like just to be on the bench, and then when I look at the stats, Gabriel played the whole first half, Shador played the second half. They both played a full half. Look at the stats.
4 for 6. I know he was 4 for 16.
Gabriel was like, I think 9 for 14 or something like that. And no interception. Shador had an interception. Gabriel like from playing for Oregon.
That's the point I was waiting for you to finish. Just because think about it.
Gabriel was a starting quarterback when Oregon was ranked number 2 in the nation almost.
Exactly.
And look who they played. Oregon didn't have no light schedule.
Mm-mm.
That's what. So to me, Gabriel is more battle tested, and that was the thing. So I think people saying, "Oh, the coach they trying to set Shador up to fail," but look, we don't know what's happening in practice. We don't know, but at the end of the day, the coaches is gonna feel like who did the best, and I even look back at. I think 3 days ago, I looked at the film from Cam Ward and Shador when they was going through the same drills.
Mm-hmm.
Shador throwing bombs to the same position. Cam Ward straight rockets to the same spot. He's getting it, not floating it up in the air, but I think he's gonna be. I think he's gonna be a decent player. I
Mm-hmm.
don't think he's gonna be a wash like Bronny James.
I don't
You,
think so. Man, that I definitely agree with you. I
but
believe if he's given the opportunity, he could be decent. But to think that he's gonna be good, or he's gonna be like, yeah, man, I told y'all, man, that's Deion's son right there. Nah, I don't never see that happening. And I hope he proves me wrong. But I've said the same thing at Jackson State. I've said the same thing at Colorado, and now with Cleveland. One thing about him as a quarterback, he holds the ball entirely too long.
mm-hmm.
That's a big problem when you're playing a quarterback. You know what I mean? You got to let that ball go.
And see who was more tested against that, him or Gabriel in college.
Exactly, dude. You're never gonna get no argument with that because I was gonna bring that point up. That one season, their first season at Colorado, Oregon was number 1 or number 2 consistently throughout the whole season, and actually played in the national championship or missed the game right before the national championship. But to your point, number 1 and number 2, you're not playing no easy schedule, bro. They're not playing they weren't playing like ACC school. They were playing some heavy hitters. So like to your point, he was definitely more paddle tested. Penix, even though Penix, I don't give him no pass either because he was a 26-year-old dude playing against 18 years old, but he was way more battle tested. Shador, main problem outside of football to me is Shador, and there's no knock on him as an individual. It is what it is. Shador is a spoiled brat. And you can see that the way Shador handles himself, the way he talks in his interview, the way he has always carried himself. You know what I mean? He's a spoiled brat. Michael Irvin had made a good point on it is what it is. They was asking Michael Irvin about his son and his son rap career. And Michael Irvin was saying, he's like, look, that boy could go out there and talk about all the paths he moved and bang, bang this and bang, bang that. Said that boy live in a gated community his whole life. He don't know nothing about those struggles.
That's like
So
Bronny James. You went to Sierra
yeah.
Canyon. You ain't, and even you look at even LeBron. Ever since he was 13, I mean, I told somebody I was like, dude, at 17 he had a souped up Hummer that was worth like 110K. Like, he went to St. Mary's. Like they completely moved,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just one of those things. I understand the storyline, but I tell people like, and old OGs, the times we're living now is completely different from the OGs back then.
Mm-hmm.
You can't say you a sucker. Like them jokers nowadays will pull and shoot you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That
Different day
it's
and
not the
age.
same.
Dorothy said she was back. Just wanted to say about relationships, you both must have not only love for the other, but you also must have respect and honesty. Absolutely. She also said, as far as sports teams and players, you may be rivals, but you still have to have respect for one another and their accomplishments. And
Mhm.
we could agree to disagree. You should always be respectful if possible. Because what my boy, and I was a big fan, but what Jamar Chase did this, so that's what I was going. I ain't want to bring it up too early, but when you were talking about uh, fact checking and sources and all that, there, some people are just liars. This man spit on this dude, and
You
after
could
the game
see
was
it.
over, after the game was over, what are y'all talking about? I didn't spit on him. How you gonna spit on somebody? Then act like you don't do it. Michael Irvin going to talk about mega excuse. He must have he must have blacked out for a second. No, he just lied. He just blatantly lied about not spitting. Where we living in a day and age where they got cameras everywhere. There's
Well,
no way in the world you can spit
it
on no
cost him
person
half
like
a
that.
million,
Kid.
I think.
Yeah, if you do that, you got to own it. You got to own it. Dorothy said Marvin loved the Muhammad Ali poster. Absolutely, that's my guy. Yeah, man, but we gonna get ready to get up out of here. I just wanted to break that down for my man, my guy brother Lamar. But I ain't knocking nobody. Keep on rooting for him. I want y'all to keep on rocking y'all Cleveland Browns number 12 jerseys, all that there. I'm not hating on Shador. I just don't think Shador is as good as everybody's gonna be. And as much as I'm a Dion fan, it's not like Sam. Well, Sam, I watched Sam in high school. So I feel like I got a little bit invested in him. You know what I'm saying? So I want to see what
Yeah.
he's gonna do when he go to college and all that there. And I want to see a root for him. But Dion, I'm just a fan. Like I always laugh at Joy. You're gonna end your 30-year not friendship, but your brotherhood with Charles Barkley, all because he keep it real about how sorry your Charlotte Hornets is. But your position is, oh, we family. How you go? He doing his job. I don't think Shador is a great quarterback. Period. I hope he proves me wrong. And I don't think I'm definitely not saying that he's trash because he has enough to work with. He's very accurate. His completion rate is outstanding. But I think, like we talking about numbers earlier, numbers could be due. If you're throwing a whole lot of little 3-yard outs, I would expect your and that's again that's not and I'm not comparing the two, but I do remember clearly thinking that Peyton Manning should have not even been in the Heisman conversation because he was throwing to a dude named Peerless Price. Those that know what I'm talking about. Fans of Tennessee or whatever. He would throw a little 5-yard outs, and Peerless Price got that mud 60, 70 yards, 80 yards sometimes. So that ain't got nothing to do with being a quarterback. Just get that mud something simple. Get a credit to the receivers and whatnot. But yeah, man, that was pretty much it, man. Like I said, I wanted to do some more research, but my heart goes out to the Needham family. Um, Gone too soon, and we didn't get to talk about it on here. Maybe we'll get into it next week too. Um, I couldn't talk about it when it's fresh, but the Lacey kid from LSU, it's just sad, man. It's really sad to see pressure being put on. Oh, got to get this in before we get up out of here. You was talking about the pressure that these NFL players go through with and all that there. You and Drew were talking about the parents. A lot of this stuff I blame on these coaches too, man. We got to stop. putting these kids, especially like not the NFL, but these kids, dude, I'm seeing Pop Warner coach. That's one reason I stopped coaching. Pop Warner, you got this dude that's 8 years or eighth grade, not even high school yet, but you got this dude thinking he all world. Like you're not even gonna make your high school team, bruh. Where do you get the audacity to think that you on your way to the Hall of Fame? You haven't even started playing real football yet, but you got this ego and this air about you because all these coaches blowing your head up. You know, just like Dion was doing for Shador. Now it's different with Dion because his son. Same case scenario. I've seen coaches that know good and well that know football, know they son shouldn't be the quarterback. But guess what? Because I'm the head coach, my son gonna be the quarterback. Even though you know your son should not be the starting quarterback. So that's what I always say. I'm a little different because my son will tell you, even when I was coaching and we was on the teams that I coached, me and my son never had a conversation on the field because I don't never want to be put in that position. No, whoever's worthy of the spot, that's who I'm gonna have out here on the football field. Whether you a son, a nephew, a cousin, whoever. Best player gonna be on the field when you playing for me. So again, stop putting all these pressure on some of these dudes because, like I said, some of these cats, before they even get to high school, they got to walk. So imagine, to your point, you know, when you talking about the professional, can you imagine 6th, 7th, 8th grade, you done been built up like this here, and everybody feeding your ego, and they coming to see you play on Saturday, and they can't wait to see you and pat you on the back, and then you don't even make your high school team? You want to talk about the press? Talk a reality check. So let's stop putting all this pressure on these kids, man. Unnecessary pressure. Let's put it that way. I'm not saying don't put no pressure on them or to apply themselves, but let's not put unnecessary pressure on these kids because everybody's not mentally as tough as we are. We don't know what nobody's stability is. So again, let's make sure we mindful of that as well as, you know, being accessible to somebody. From time to time, hey, you see your neighbor outside, hey, how you doing? Don't make you a bad person. Just want to say hi. Make sure you good. Everything been good. How's the family doing? Doesn't cost you anything. I remember when I got to Little Rock and people would do that and speak. I'm like, what's wrong with these people? Because it wasn't a part of the culture that I grew up in. Like, I've seen people get shot for people speaking to people that they don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't have to live by those rules anymore because I'm older now and I want to do better. So it's all right to check on people, make sure everybody good. Hey, make sure family doing good, the wife doing good. All right, I'll holler at you. But you never know the difference that it'll make in somebody's day just knowing that you said accessible. They might have been going in there about to harm themselves because nobody notices me. Nobody notices me. Nobody even speaks to me, nothing. So let's be mindful of that there, man. Do you have anything you wanted to add before we got up out of here?
Oh, no, I think you did good covering that.
All right, man. I definitely appreciate you all, man. We coming up on this holiday season. I think we got one more show before Thanksgiving, maybe 2.
Yeah.
Coming up quick,
And
man.
these years, as we get older, man, time is flying.
Man, I say it all the time, especially since, in my opinion, like 2020, when the virus hit, it seemed like I call it BC before Corona because everything is just like running together, bro. Realize we got less than 60 days left in this year. And we were just complaining about Trump, not you, but we were just, most of y'all was complaining about Trump getting in office. We ain't even had this month for a whole year yet. It's like this whole year that disappeared. Only thing that seems to take forever is Trump presidency. Dorothy said unnecessary pressure can cause depression. Also, when you can't live up to what people expect from you. Thank you, gentlemen, for a great show. Absolutely. We thank you for tuning in as well. And that's my point earlier, Dorothy. And like I said, I trained my son up in that, but I would encourage other parents to have that conversation with them too. Don't try to live up to other people's expectations. Because you know what? Having those people that's putting those expectations on you, they ain't lived up to them their damn self. So Why would you let somebody else hold you to a standard that they haven't met themselves? That makes no sense when you think about it logically. So don't accept those expectations, man. Do your best at all costs. At least Trump can't run again. We shall see. I believe it too. But that was funny. You talking about him trolling with sending Gavin 2028 hat.
100 of them.
Trump know what he doing, man. But man,
Look,
yeah,
the next time they're gonna have to, people are gonna have to worry about Trump is in 2045
when the sun come around.
when Barron run. They're already putting that into play. So I just tell people just got to make sure you put some competent people in.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like just putting people in just to put them in. You know, that's, you know, times are just changing. People are more focused on, you know, their wallets. They're more focused on, you know, their family livelihood, and I don't see a lot of people talking about that right now.
Mm-hmm. So let's get back to the things that matter the most, the important
Yeah.
things. Um, with that being said, everybody know I love you guys, man. I stressed it during the show. I'm gonna say it again. Let's stay prayed up. I don't care what your affiliation is, what your political views are. Let's stay prayed up if you believe in the power of prayer. Um, keep God first in your life, and work on that relationship. Somebody asked me literally last night, um, what would be the one thing that you would suggest for people that's trying to get to know God or trying to get into church or different things of that nature there, or just don't have so many questions? I said, the main thing you need to focus on, from my perspective, is having a personal relationship with God. You got to have a personal relationship with God. I can't have God can't my point of view of God can't be based through my preacher or my mother or my father or TD Jakes or this one. We have to have a personal encounter with God. Now, it's going to be a lot that comes along with it, but that's the foundation. That's where you start at. And I guarantee you, a lot of the chaos, a lot of the noise, because the scripture also tells us, if we believe it, that he won't put more on us than we could bear. So guess what? I know at night when I'm crying myself to sleep on those particular nights, I might be crying alone, but I'm not alone. He's there right there along with me. When I'm going through pain, when I'm in that hospital room or getting ready for procedure, I'm never alone. Absolutely, Dorothy. That is my all-time favorite scripture of all time. Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart and lean not to thy own understanding. In all your ways, not some of your ways, not the good ways, not the bad ways, but on all your ways acknowledge him and he shall direct your path. So let's be encouraged. Work on that personal relationship with God, not just with God, but build it. Let's all do our part in getting the community and village that me and Sam are talking about. Let's do a better job at, you know what I mean, overextending ourselves to let people know that they're not going to do anything alone and they have somebody that they can reach out to. Love on each other as much as you possible while you can. And with that being said, man, we out of here. As usual, signing off. You guys know that I love you all. You guys know that I'm here for you. All you got to do is just reach out to me. I thank Sam for always stepping in and joining and being a part of the show as well. I appreciate your contribution, man. I like to let you talk on here because you don't do as much talking on the other. But I appreciate it, man. And as usual, signing off, man. DeAndre and Lysha, know that Daddy loves you intentionally, but I also love you unconditionally. Till next week, peace.